Understanding the nature of narcissism and its impact on relationships is the first step in truly grasping why you were allowed to love a narcissist. Narcissism, at its core, is an inflated sense of self-importance and a constant need for admiration and validation. Narcissists often lack true empathy, which means they cannot connect with others on an emotional level in the way healthy relationships require. Instead, they manipulate, control, and exploit the emotions of others to boost their own ego. When you love a narcissist, you quickly realize that no amount of care, affection, or attention will ever be enough for them. Their insatiable hunger for praise and attention means they will constantly demand more from you. They will keep you in a cycle of self-doubt, questioning your worth and making you feel like you are never enough. This behavior can leave you emotionally exhausted, feeling as though you're walking on eggshells just to keep the peace. It can even make you lose touch with who you are, as their needs overshadow your own. Over time, you may start to believe the lies they tell you about yourself, seeing yourself as inferior or incapable of receiving love in a healthy way. At first, it might seem like a curse, falling for someone who drains your emotional reserves and brings nothing but turbulence into your life. But as difficult as it is, this experience is not without purpose. Understanding narcissism requires you to look at the underlying motives and the patterns they create. Narcissists are often driven by deep insecurity. Despite their outward displays of confidence, their need for control and validation stems from a lack of self-worth. They wear a mask, convincing themselves and others that they are above everyone else, but underneath, they are terrified of being exposed for who they really are. Loving a narcissist forces you to confront some uncomfortable truths about yourself, your boundaries, and your needs. In the beginning, you may try to rationalize their behavior, justifying their actions as a result of past pain or insecurity. You may believe that with enough love and care they will change. However, over time, you realize that their behavior is not something you can fix. This realization can be painful, as you may feel the weight of disappointment and failure. You might feel that all your efforts were in vain, but this is where the lesson begins. By being involved with a narcissist, you are given a unique opportunity to learn the importance of self-love and boundaries. You are forced to reevaluate what you are willing to accept in relationships and what you need to do to protect your mental and emotional well-being. Loving a narcissist teaches you how crucial it is to maintain a sense of self, to set boundaries, and to never compromise on your values and needs. This lesson in self-worth and self-respect is one of the most profound and necessary lessons that comes from such a painful relationship. The more you give, the more you lose yourself. And in that loss, you come to realize that true love cannot come at the expense of your own identity and happiness. You begin to see that it's not enough to simply give love without receiving it in return. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, understanding, and care. Loving a narcissist forces you to acknowledge that, without these fundamental components, any relationship will leave you feeling empty, unappreciated, and exhausted. The purpose of this painful lesson is not to diminish you or make you feel that you are unworthy. On the contrary, it is to remind you of your inherent value. Narcissists have a way of making you feel small and insignificant, but that is their projection, not your reality. When you step away from this toxic dynamic, you will begin to rediscover your own sense of self. You will start to recognize your worth outside of the narcissist's approval. This is a powerful shift, a moment of clarity that often only comes after enduring the pain of such an imbalanced relationship. In conclusion, understanding the traits of narcissism and how they affect relationships is vital in seeing why God allowed you to love a narcissist. It was not to punish you or make you feel inadequate, but to teach you a valuable lesson in self-love, boundaries, and worth. Through this experience, you are being shaped and prepared for better, healthier relationships in the future. The pain, as much as it hurts, is the gateway to growth. It is the tool that helps you understand who you truly are, what you deserve, and what you will no longer accept. In the end, this painful journey is leading you to the most important relationship of all, the one with yourself. The journey you've walked, loving a narcissist, is one that has no easy answer. It's often a road filled with confusion, self-doubt, and emotional exhaustion. You gave your heart, your time, your energy, and yet it always felt like there was more to give, but never enough in return. The narcissist in your life likely manipulated and used your love to fulfill their own insatiable need for attention and admiration. Their behavior may have left you questioning your worth, second-guessing your intentions, and wondering why this happened to you. At first, it seems like a curse, something that has shattered your peace and left you broken. However, as you move through this painful experience, it becomes clear that it was never a curse, but a lesson. When you learn the true nature of narcissism, you begin to understand that their behavior is a reflection of their own insecurity and unresolved issues. It has nothing to do with you. The narcissist uses others to prop up their fragile self-image, and this can leave you feeling like you are always the one giving, always the one sacrificing, while they take and take with no remorse. But here's the truth. This experience was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to help you grow, to help you realize your own strength, and to teach you the importance of self-love. Before encountering the narcissist, you may have been someone who placed others' needs above your own, someone who thought love meant giving everything without expecting anything in return. But through this painful relationship, you have been forced to learn a critical truth, the importance of setting boundaries. Boundaries are not a selfish thing. They are an act of self-respect and self-preservation. In loving a narcissist, you have been shown in the harshest way possible just how far you can go before your own well-being is compromised. And this lesson is invaluable. You were not meant to be a perpetual giver of love without receiving in return. You were not meant to sacrifice your identity for someone else's gain. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, has allowed you to experience this so that you can reclaim your sense of self, learn your worth, and set boundaries that protect your emotional and spiritual health. This is why God let you love a narcissist. It wasn't to punish you, but to help you understand your true value. You are not here to be exploited, to be drained, or to be someone else's emotional punching bag. You are here to love yourself, to honor your own needs, and to set healthy limits with others. The narcissist, while difficult and challenging, has forced you to see that you cannot pour from an empty cup. To truly love, you must first learn to love yourself. And that means giving yourself permission to walk away from toxic situations and relationships. What this experience also teaches is that love is not meant to be one-sided. It should never leave you feeling unworthy or unseen. Love, when it is genuine, is reciprocal. It nurtures, supports, and uplifts both parties. The narcissist's love, however, is conditional. They will love you when you serve their needs, but when you no longer fit their agenda, they will discard you without a second thought. This is the painful truth, but it is also the truth that will set you free. Recognizing this allows you to release the illusion of love that you've been clinging to and make room for healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Moreover, learning to love yourself in the aftermath of loving a narcissist is perhaps the most empowering lesson of all. You have learned that your worth does not depend on the approval of another person. You are valuable, you are deserving of respect, and you are worthy of love that is genuine and pure. No one, not even the narcissist, has the power to take that away from you unless you allow it. The road to healing may not be easy, and there will be days when the emotional scars from your experience may resurface. But take heart. God has allowed this experience to shape you into a stronger, wiser, and more resilient version of yourself. Through the pain, you are discovering your own inner strength, your ability to stand up for yourself, and your power to create boundaries that honor who you are. In time, you will come to see that loving a narcissist was not a mistake. It was the lesson you needed to finally recognize your own worth. You are worthy of love that is kind, compassionate, and respectful. You are worthy of a love that fills you, not drains you. You have been given the gift of self-awareness, and it is this awareness that will guide you to better, healthier relationships in the future. So, my friend, embrace this truth. God allowed you to love a narcissist not to break you, but to rebuild you. To teach you who you truly are, what you deserve, and how to protect your heart. You are stronger now than you were before. Let this experience be the stepping stone to your greatest transformation. Understanding narcissism is essential to comprehending why God allowed you to love a narcissist. Narcissism isn't just about arrogance or self-centeredness. It's a complex condition rooted in deep insecurities. Narcissists need constant admiration and validation from others, but they have a profound inability to love or empathize with those around them. They thrive on power, control, and attention, often leaving their loved ones feeling insignificant, emotionally drained, and confused. When you love someone like this, you can feel as if you're giving everything and receiving nothing in return. At times, you may even doubt your worth because their love is so conditional. But it's important to realize that these behaviors are a reflection of their internal struggles, not yours. Loving a narcissist can feel like a test of your emotional endurance, and it forces you to confront a painful reality. You cannot change them. This understanding is crucial for personal growth. It shifts your focus from changing the other person to recognizing your own power to change your response to the situation. God allows these difficult relationships to enter our lives not because He wants us to suffer, but because He wants us to grow. Through such an experience, you are pushed to learn the importance of boundaries, self-respect, and self-love, lessons that many people never have to learn in such a direct way. The purpose of pain in relationships, especially with a narcissist, is often misunderstood. It's easy to see pain as a sign of failure or as a punishment. But in reality, pain can be a powerful tool for growth. When you love a narcissist, you are forced to endure emotional turbulence that challenges every sense of security you may have had. This pain is not meant to break you, but to build you. In many ways, this experience serves as a refining process. It forces you to question your self-worth and reevaluate how you see love and relationships. It forces you to confront uncomfortable truths about yourself, like why you might have allowed yourself to be in this relationship for so long, or why you were so willing to make sacrifices. These aren't easy questions, but they are necessary for your personal evolution. As you move through this pain, you start to find strength in places you never knew existed. You discover your inner resilience and your ability to survive hardship. You learn what you are truly capable of when the pressure is on. When the pain is no longer something you avoid, but something you face head on, you begin to transform. What once felt like a punishment becomes a source of empowerment. Pain can shape you into someone who is not only stronger but wiser, someone who knows their own worth, and someone who can walk away from what is no longer serving them. The concept of divine timing is an often overlooked aspect of these painful experiences. Many of us struggle with the why of life's challenges. Why did we have to endure certain relationships or experiences that cause so much pain? But the truth is, God's timing is always perfect. When you look back, you will see how each chapter of your life led to the next. Loving a narcissist may have seemed like a mistake or a detour, but it was a part of your divine plan. It was meant to help you find yourself, to recognize your own worth, and to understand what healthy love looks like. God does not bring toxic relationships into our lives for no reason. Rather, He uses these painful experiences to redirect us and teach us essential lessons that can only be learned through hardship. Through this process, you discover that you are not meant to stay in unhealthy situations, and that you have the power to walk away from things that do not serve your highest good. While the process may not be easy, it's necessary. It teaches you that your value is not tied to the approval or love of anyone else, especially someone who cannot love you in return. As you let go of this toxic connection, you make room for the love that is meant for you, love that aligns with your worth, your peace, and your divine purpose. The love you have been waiting for cannot come until you release what is holding you back. And so, through the pain and the letting go, God prepares you for something far greater than you could have imagined. The divine timing behind your experiences is always working for your ultimate good, even when you cannot see it in the moment. When you find yourself caught in the web of a narcissistic relationship, it can feel as though you've been trapped in a cycle of emotional turmoil. The narcissist constantly demands validation and admiration, leaving you drained and questioning your worth. You give and give, but their insatiable need for attention leaves you feeling empty, exhausted, and confused. Yet there is more to this painful experience than meets the eye. It may be hard to see in the moment, but these relationships are not meaningless. They are part of a much larger divine design, intended to bring you closer to understanding yourself and your true value. The first lesson lies in understanding the narcissist's nature. They are driven by an internal emptiness, constantly seeking external validation because they have not cultivated self-love. The relationship in many ways becomes a reflection of your own self-esteem. The narcissist's need for control, admiration, and manipulation can push you to question your identity, causing you to lose sight of your own sense of worth. However, this is where the power of the experience comes into play. By facing this kind of emotional turbulence, you are given an opportunity to examine your own relationship with yourself. Are you relying on others for your sense of value, or do you understand your worth independent of external validation? It is only through facing the destructive behaviors of a narcissist that we can truly begin to recognize how precious and irreplaceable we are, regardless of others' opinions or actions. The second lesson revolves around growth through pain. While it may seem unfair, the pain that comes with loving a narcissist is not without purpose. Growth rarely happens in comfort. It is in the trenches, where the weight of our struggles feels the heaviest, that we grow stronger and more resilient. This kind of relationship tests your emotional endurance and challenges you to redefine your boundaries. It pushes you to examine what you are willing to accept and where you need to draw the line. While enduring such pain, you begin to see that growth comes not from avoiding the difficult parts of life, but from learning to navigate them with strength, self-respect, and awareness. Through the heartbreak and emotional upheaval, God is teaching you a vital lesson. You have the power to rise above any circumstance, to reclaim your life and your sense of self, and to become stronger for having faced it. The third key element in this journey is the importance of self-love and setting boundaries. Narcissists do not respect boundaries. They view them as obstacles to their desire for control, and they often exploit the kindness and vulnerability of others to fulfill their own needs. In these relationships, it is easy to lose sight of yourself as you attempt to please the narcissist or seek their approval. But this is where the transformation begins, by learning to establish and enforce healthy boundaries. You are not only protecting yourself from further harm, but also affirming your worth. God allows us to experience the harshness of these relationships, to bring us to a place where we finally understand that self-love is non-negotiable. It's not about being selfish. It's about respecting yourself enough to protect your energy, your heart, and your spirit from being consumed by someone else's need for control. When you begin to practice self-love in a real, actionable way, you become a beacon of strength and self-assurance. This act of self-respect draws in the love and energy that is rightfully yours, opening the door for healthier, more fulfilling relationships in the future. Finally, there is the lesson of divine timing and purpose. It may be difficult to grasp in the midst of emotional chaos, but every experience in your life has been orchestrated by a divine hand. There are no accidents. God allowed this narcissistic relationship to enter your life for a reason, to teach you, shape you, and prepare you for something greater. You might wonder why you had to endure the heartbreak, the emotional manipulation, and the confusion, but through it you are being prepared for the kind of love that is true, reciprocal, and aligned with your soul. This relationship, as painful as it was not designed to break you, but to mold you into the person you need to be in order to receive the love that is meant for you. It was a necessary part of your journey, a refining process that has made you stronger, wiser, and more in tune with the love and respect you deserve. Trust that God's plan is always unfolding in your favor, even if you cannot see it right now. Everything you've gone through is part of a greater story that is leading you to the love, peace, and fulfillment you are destined for. So even though loving a narcissist has caused pain, it is also the very thing that will propel you forward. Through these trials, you have learned invaluable lessons: to understand your worth, to set healthy boundaries, to practice self-love, and to trust in the divine timing of your life. And while it may take time for these lessons to fully reveal their purpose, know this: you are emerging from this experience as a stronger, more self-aware individual, ready to embrace the love that truly honors you. Keep moving forward, knowing that everything you've experienced has been for your growth and your ultimate good. Understanding narcissism is crucial to grasp why some relationships with narcissists can feel like an emotional roller coaster. Narcissism at its core is a personality trait characterized by a need for admiration, a sense of entitlement, and a lack of empathy. Narcissists often view relationships as transactional, where their value is tied to what they can extract from others. They have an overwhelming need to control, dominate, and manipulate, often leaving their partners feeling insignificant, used, and emotionally drained. When you love a narcissist, it's not just about the love you give them. It's about how their behavior makes you question your self-worth and your capacity to love. It's important to recognize these traits early, as it can help you understand that what you're experiencing isn't a reflection of your inadequacy, but a manifestation of their emotional deficits. The relationship dynamic often leaves you wondering why it's so hard to make them happy, or why they constantly seem to demand more from you. Recognizing narcissism for what it is helps you stop internalizing the emotional toll and start focusing on healing. The second point revolves around the purpose of pain and growth. Loving a narcissist is a painful experience, often marked by cycles of emotional highs and lows. However, in that pain there is potential for profound personal growth. God does not allow us to experience suffering without purpose. It is through pain that we learn the deepest lessons about ourselves. When faced with narcissistic behavior, you are often forced to confront your own emotional needs, boundaries, and self-worth. At first, you may feel like a victim, but with time, you start to recognize that the pain is an invitation for growth. It's an opportunity to learn the importance of self-respect and to establish firm boundaries in your life. You learn that loving someone doesn't mean losing yourself in the process, and you discover the incredible strength you have to stand firm even in difficult circumstances. This growth might not feel easy at first, but as you start to realize the power you have over your emotional well-being, you start to take control of your life again. One of the most critical lessons learned from loving a narcissist is the power of self-love and boundaries. Narcissistic relationships often blur the lines between love and manipulation, making it difficult to distinguish where your needs begin and where the narcissist's end. In these relationships, you can easily lose sight of your own desires and needs. But the experience of being with a narcissist pushes you to rediscover your value and to set boundaries that protect your emotional health. Through this journey, you learn that true love starts with loving yourself. It means honoring your worth, respecting your emotions, and ensuring that your mental and emotional well-being are prioritized. Setting boundaries becomes an act of self-love. It's about recognizing that you deserve respect and that you should not tolerate mistreatment or manipulation from anyone, no matter how much you may care for them. When you start to love yourself fully, you realize that you don't need to sacrifice your happiness for someone who doesn't genuinely care for you. Divine timing plays a significant role in understanding why God allows certain people into our lives, including narcissists. Everything happens according to a higher plan. We might not always see it in the moment, but every experience, including the painful ones, is a piece of a larger puzzle designed to help us grow, evolve, and align with our true purpose. God allows us to cross paths with narcissists because they serve as catalysts for change in our lives. These encounters may be painful, but they bring us face to face with ourselves. The relationship forces you to look inward and ask deep questions about who you are, what you need, and what you're willing to tolerate. The narcissist may be a difficult person to love, but through that challenge, you begin to learn important lessons about yourself and your capacity for self-compassion. These lessons aren't learned overnight, but in time they lead to greater self-awareness and emotional maturity. The experience becomes a stepping stone on your journey, one that aligns you with your destiny. The final point is about learning to let go and embracing the empowerment that comes from realizing that you are stronger than the circumstances you've endured. Loving a narcissist can create a powerful emotional attachment, one that feels impossible to break. But once you understand that the pain you've experienced is meant to teach you something profound, you find the strength to let go. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or minimizing the experiences you had. It means releasing the emotional hold the narcissist has over you so you can free yourself to embrace a future filled with healthier, more fulfilling relationships. When you let go, you reclaim your emotional freedom and your peace of mind. You stop letting someone else's dysfunction define your life, and instead you take back your power. This empowerment comes from realizing that your worth is not tied to how others treat you. When you let go of the narcissist's grip, you make room for the love and respect you truly deserve. When you find yourself in a relationship with a narcissist, it can feel like you're caught in a never-ending cycle of emotional highs and lows. The narcissist's charm is magnetic, pulling you in with their charisma and promises of affection, only to eventually leave you feeling empty and lost. It's easy to wonder why God allowed you to love someone who only seems to take from you without ever giving back. But the truth is that God doesn't make mistakes. There is a divine purpose behind every relationship, and even in the struggle there is growth. Understanding the nature of narcissism is the first step. Narcissists are individuals who thrive on attention, admiration, and control. Their world revolves around their own needs, often at the expense of others. Loving a narcissist can feel like being trapped in a one-sided relationship, where your feelings, needs, and desires are disregarded. It's important to recognize that these behaviors are not about you. They are a reflection of the narcissist's own insecurities, their need for validation, and their inability to truly love anyone else. This doesn't mean you are to blame for their behavior, but understanding it can help you separate your identity from the toxic patterns they create. It's also crucial to understand that this kind of relationship serves a purpose. Pain and hardship are often the vessels through which we grow the most. As difficult as it is to accept, the challenges you face in loving a narcissist are shaping you into someone stronger. These trials push you to confront your own weaknesses, fears, and unresolved issues. They force you to examine your boundaries, your values, and what you will or will not tolerate in a relationship. Through this process, you begin to recognize your worth and learn to protect yourself from further harm. Loving a narcissist can lead you to discover the importance of self-love. Before you can fully love someone else, you must first learn to love yourself. This experience teaches you the necessity of prioritizing your own needs and putting yourself first. When you love yourself, you understand that your worth is not determined by the way others treat you, especially those who are incapable of loving you in return. This realization is empowering. You begin to see that your happiness and self-worth are not dependent on someone else's validation. You are whole on your own, and this love for yourself becomes the foundation for healthier relationships in the future. Through this experience, you also learn the importance of setting boundaries. Narcissists push limits, seeking to control and manipulate their partners. But by recognizing their behavior for what it is, you can take the necessary steps to protect yourself. Boundaries are not just a way to say no to others, they are a way of saying yes to yourself. They are the lines you draw to safeguard your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. Setting boundaries teaches you the value of respecting yourself enough to not tolerate anything less than what you deserve. The idea that God allowed you to love a narcissist may seem puzzling, but in the grand scheme of things, it's part of His greater plan. Divine timing is at play here. God has a way of bringing people into your life for a reason, and even though that reason may not always be clear in the moment, it becomes evident in hindsight. Relationships, especially difficult ones, are catalysts for change. They force you to confront your deepest fears and doubts, helping you to develop resilience and a deeper understanding of who you are and what you stand for. God allowed you to experience this relationship so that you could grow stronger, wiser, and more aware of your own value. Loving a narcissist, though painful, teaches you the importance of letting go. In this relationship, you may have invested time, love, and energy into someone who was incapable of returning that love in the way you need it. It can be difficult to walk away from someone you care about, but the truth is, holding on to something that no longer serves you only keeps you from embracing something better. Letting go is not about rejecting the person, it's about rejecting the unhealthy patterns that were formed. When you release yourself from the emotional grip of a narcissist, you make space for new possibilities, healthy, nurturing relationships where you can be loved and appreciated for who you truly are. Finally, the most empowering lesson of all is the realization that through this experience, you are not a victim but a survivor. The narcissist may have taken from you, but in the process, you have gained something invaluable. You have learned the importance of self-respect, self-love, and healthy boundaries. You have discovered your inner strength and resilience. This experience, though painful, has empowered you to rise above the toxicity and to embrace a future filled with healthier relationships and a deeper connection with yourself. In the end, God allowed you to love a narcissist because He knew you were strong enough to handle the lessons it would bring. Through the pain, you have grown. Through the struggle, you have evolved. And now you are ready for what is to come.